What made you choose the career path of a real estate agent? Mine is a little bit cliche. I really enjoy doing home renovations, and my dream was to get into the business to start flipping.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right? Once I realized that wasn't was sort of a pipe dream, let's call it. I sort of just fell in love with the business, and now I just really enjoy working with clients and doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
Helping them find houses, let them do the
Let them flip
renovations,
it.
show you what they did. Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I do a lot of our own home renovations, like painting and trim. And I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but I enjoy doing it. I'm really crafty in my spare time, so
Yeah.
that kind of is
definitely
a
are.
little
Yeah.
bit of an outlet for me.
Yeah. I don't know if it was necessarily the why, but I grew up in a real estate family, so it's kind of something that I always saw. My parents owned a brokerage in Ontario, basically as long as I can remember. Then I went off, did my own thing, traveled, and then when I came back, I decided I wanted to, if you can call it, get back to my roots, but it's just something, again, it was comfortable, grew up around it, and here we go.
Destiny.
Yeah, and now I'm here.
We're destined.
But I will say, I also like being with people all the time, so, and I like it, that it's not the same every day, so that just kind of fueled the fire too.
Sure.
You're also like third gen
Yeah.
realtor, right? Not
Yes,
just not
yes,
just your parents,
that's
right?
true.
Like
My grandpa owned the brokerage, and then my parents took it over, and I did not take it over. I'm in Winnipeg doing it here, or selling real estate here. But yeah,
I feel like I always had an interest in real estate, more so from like an investment perspective though too. Like, I think a lot of it came though from just being raised by parents who was like one of 5 like farmers' daughters, one of 6, like growing up poverty line, to be honest. And my parents were really scrappy, so they bought a lot in Kenora, built their house. I remember my dad in a rental property building roof trusses, like while we lived there in his spare time kind of thing. Built his house, and it was a nice house. Like, they built a big house, but they worked hard for it, and we lived with plywood floors for many years, as they could afford to finish the house. Logan actually had a very similar upbringing to that. He remembers not having railings and stuff in his house, but and then it was kind of like, because they were scrappy, because they worked hard for their real estate, they were able to also then buy a cabin or a lot, get materials from like a torn down cabin, like literally built the whole thing and bought the lot, I think, for like $40,000 back in the day. And then you just kind of watch that, and then the property values increase, and like you just kind of realize the power that is in investing in real estate too. And then when their kids were old enough to go off to university, they were like, we're not paying rent like for you to live somewhere. We have these homes, we have cabins, or the cabin, and now we have equity, so we're gonna refinance. So I learned about that. Buy a property on Dowker in Winnipeg. You don't have to bleep that out, Annette. And then we lived there. They bought that property for like $82,000, and by the
probably
time
all the kids went to school there.
exactly, we lived there.
I lived there.
You
Jen
lived there, yeah. And
all
we
the
would rent
siblings.
out like the other 2 rooms, so like their cost was minimal. Like they covered our room and board.
Yeah.
Not board, we paid for our own food, but they covered the roof over our heads, and they paid $82,000. When they turned around to sell it, I think it was like $230,000, right?
Yeah.
Like, and otherwise that money would have been gone, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when we were still all in university too, my dad got cancer and passed away, but this was like stability, right?
Yeah.
Like, we had roofs over our head because of how smart they were with their finances through. So for me, I've always viewed it as like, honestly, like a building block, that stability. And I've always just loved that idea of investing in real estate too. So the potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the people too is like the added bonus when you get those awesome clients. So
Yeah. Well, and seeing them build that stability, right? Is
oh my
exciting.
gosh, it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Every time somebody's like, can you tell me how you did this? And I kind of like, oh boy, can I tell you? Yeah. So that's exciting too.
Yeah, I think I just have always loved working with people and helping people. And I knew like the medical industry was definitely not for me. And so I heard about real estate, and the more I learned, the more I loved it. So that was kind of how I fell in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I totally fell into it too. Like, you guys might or might not know, but I actually have a bachelor's of science degree from the U of M with a major focus in fisheries science. I worked as a freshwater fish biologist for a long time as like a technician biology, and then a lot with environmental assessments. So I was not the typical lean into real estate person, but being married to a real estate agent and actually seeing Jen from the start of her career, and me being the sign guy, putting out the signs.
Tired of being the sign guy.
Yeah, doing all the
wanted a
signs.
promotion,
When I was in town for, not traveling for work, I got to see a lot of the back end, and I found some stuff. I always liked the idea of housing and thought it was really cool. Like, Jen and I actually bought a grow up for our first house, and not flipped it, but we fixed it up. And same as Jen, I grew up from a really handy father who knew, like, also built his house in Kenora. So he taught me a lot of things about how to use your hands and how to fix things and make things work. And so I didn't do a lot of the work on our first house. I can't say I was really comfortable at that time, but the longer we lived in a house, the more comfortable I got, and we worked on it. And when we moved to our next house, we've done a lot of work, and it's just like Jen said, it's a progression thing. But getting into it was really family planning originally. We wanted to have kids, and I was away probably 3 out of 4 weeks of every month for work. Which is not conducive to raising kids when you have a realtor as a wife. So it was either we have a full-time nanny and never see our children, or we make a change. And
you bring them along with work.
That's right. Now they come with me
Did
everywhere.
you check out a property for me yesterday with 3 kids in tow? You
That's
sure
right.
did. Thank
Sure
you.
did.
Yeah.
And back to that, like, I remember going to showings with my dad, like, as a little,
It's honestly, it's good for them too. Like, I like when our kids are with us and they're seeing our rental properties and we're explaining to them, like, this is an opportunity to build wealth. And they're like, they're getting it. They're kind of still early on in the process, but it's like explaining to them there's ways you can add value to increase your net worth just by being scrappy and, doing these things. I probably would have been an investor regardless if I hadn't have ended up in real estate.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me though, I was running online businesses and not seeing people in my pajamas, which sounds ideal, but not really. Like, I missed seeing people. So it just seemed like the perfect blend for me.
Yeah. Same with me. Like, I never leaned into this. Like, I literally played with fish all the time. And then now I spend time talking with people and figuring out their lives and what they want. And I've always enjoyed that. And I love finding people their spots and, reach, especially you kind of lose contact a little bit when people move into their house because they don't need you as much. But then 4 years down the line or 5 years down the line, you get the call and it's like, hey, our family's grown, and they've got 2 kids, or they've got those are the really cool moments that are like, okay, I helped you do that. I'd love to help you
see
again.
life's progression.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It's a huge impact in other people's lives. Like, Sam, you were talking the other day about how you were like reaching out for somebody's home anniversary or something, and they were like, yeah, we're pregnant again. Or something. Like, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's like you're so excited for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I just found out a client was 2 years into their remission. So it's
nice.
just,
Yeah. It's like, we've all got into it for totally different reasons, but man, I feel like the reasons you stay in it are not ever the reasons you expected to get into it.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's how, that's how I feel about it. Like, it would never have been on my radar to be a realtor, to be to be perfectly honest, but I can't picture myself doing anything else now that I have been.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. I think there too, there's probably a lot of people that do get into it because they think it's fast money,
Yes.
right? And I think that's also why we see that 87% attrition rate after 2 to 3 years in the business, right? There's a huge failure rate. So
also, it's probably the slowest money you can get in Manitoba.
yeah, the slowest one,
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, fix the system, guys. Jeez.
But yeah, it's not, I don't think anybody would say I did it because, well, I'm sure there's lots of people that would say that, but that actually has had longevity in the business would say that. So.